We are now in full swing with NHL trade season. We have another huge NHL trade to discuss this evening. The Winnipeg Jets have finally traded defenseman Jacob Trouba, and he's on his way to the Big Apple to the New York Rangers. We're going to do all the details and give you my thoughts coming up next. So we've been talking for quite some time how the Winnipeg Jets were more than likely going to be trading defenseman Jacob Trouba, and that has actually finally come to be. We've been speculating for some time where he may end up and what the return might be. So here is the trade. Jacob Trouba is on his way to the New York Rangers in exchange for a 2019 first-round selection and defenseman Neil Pionk. Now, the 2019 first-round selection that the Rangers are sending to the Jets is actually their own first-round pick. That is the same draft pick they used to acquire center iceman Kevin Hayes at the NHL trade deadline. So they've regained their first-round pick, which is number 20 overall in the 2019 NHL draft, and they're getting defenseman Neil Pionk as well. So obviously, I had speculated before that more than likely Trouba was going to generate a first-round pick and probably something else with it. That was at least my opinion on what the Jets would likely get in return. They really couldn't take much back in the way of salary, so I said they probably would try to get another defenseman if possible, more than likely either being a prospect defenseman or a younger defenseman, with a little bit less experience who wouldn't be able to command such a high salary, and that's exactly what's come to be here. Another key detail in all of this is Jacob Trouba has not spoken to the New York Rangers about a contract. The Winnipeg Jets did not grant them permission to speak ahead of time for this trade, so obviously the New York Rangers now need to get to work and come to terms on an agreement here. Hopefully they can get him to sign, which obviously they're quite confident that they can, and they wouldn't have pulled the trigger here, but there hasn't been anything ironed out ahead of time. Same thing with Neil Pionk going back to the Jets. He's also an RFA. He needs a new contract, but obviously he's in a different spot in his career here and likely won't be able to command quite as much. Now, of course, Jacob Trouba was originally the Jets' first-round selection back in 2012. He certainly progressed quite nicely, playing top pair minutes, certainly playing a big role for the Jets on the blue line. Let's take a quick peek here at his career statistics. So far in Trouba's career, he's played 408 games, put up 179 points overall. He put up a 50-point season last year, which was a big improvement. So obviously, Trouba is certainly well on his way to being a top pair defenseman. Obviously, with New York and what they're going through with their rebuild, I fully suspect he'll have every opportunity there. They're certainly getting younger in New York and more exciting as well. I would fully suspect that the Rangers likely will buy out either Kevin Shattenkirk or Brendan Smith. More than likely, we'll see how they proceed with that. But obviously, adding a young top defenseman like Trouba to the Rangers is a huge move on their regard here. Now, taking a quick look at Neil Pionk, he was a 23-year-old. He was an undrafted college free agent signed by the Rangers. He's been in the NHL for parts of 2 seasons. Last year, he played for the whole year. Neil Pionk's put up 40 points in 101 games. He's also a right shot D like Trouba, so certainly will help fill the gaps there on the right side of the Winnipeg Jets defense. But obviously the big winners here are the New York Rangers. They've landed themselves a really solid up-and-coming young defenseman. He's likely going to command himself a pretty big salary. Hard to say exactly where he lands, but somewhere between $6 to $7 million, I think is likely where it's going to be. I wouldn't be surprised to see a 5 or 6 year deal around $6 to $6.5 million, maybe a little bit more. It's really hard to say, but somewhere in that range is kind of what it was expected that he was going to be looking for. And obviously the Rangers have the ability to give that to him. Of course, another big question with the Jets is, can they now retain Tyler Myers, and will that take him off the pending free agent market here? Obviously, Myers is another right shot D looking for a new contract, and really until they made the trade to get rid of Trouba off the roster, there certainly wasn't any money really in the salary cap to pay a guy like Myers or another defenseman like Ben Sherratt to stick around. So now moving him out in exchange for Pionk, who will command far less money, certainly will go a long way for them potentially to keep Myers. We've been talking here that Myers and the Jets have had some communication, but obviously at this point weren't too close to a contract. But now that Trouba has been traded, I wouldn't be surprised to hear the talks intensify and they make a stronger effort to be able to keep the big right shot defenseman. So as I mentioned, I fully suspect it to be a very busy week and into the weekend as we approach the NHL draft with lots more trade activity. There's all kinds of trade chatter going on. We saw comments from Sharks general manager Doug Wilson even saying that there's been more talk amongst GMs than he's ever seen in his time as a GM, and he's been a GM for a long time. So there's all kinds of stuff going on. So stay tuned to Top Shelf Hockey. I'll keep you up to date with all the latest trades, rumors, free agent signings, etc. as all the news breaks. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll catch you next time.